Welcome back to Star Trek Online, everybody. I'm your host, the Housecoat Gamer, and today we're taking a look at the Vovin-Class carrier. In case you're wondering, yes, I did pay for this thing. Over the last few years, I've been scraping up some Lobi crystals. You know, from events and all that. It's kind of how I got my hands on the, my original inquiry. Anyway, the Vovin-Class is a Iconian-derived version of the Obelisk-class, which, in STO terms, is an ancient starship. And I mean that literally. This ship came out right before the 4th anniversary, during Worf's first, shall we say, guest appearance. And now the ship has been reintroduced with a new Iconian flair. And you know what? Some people complain about the detached parts, especially in STD. Now, as much as I hate STD, I mean, I'm rather infamous for my loathing of the thing, I don't have a problem with the detached parts. It could be easily explained as high-energy tractor beams, magnetic fields, quantum entanglement. They never really got too deep into it. Though, let's be honest, the writers suck. I mean, Spore Drive, enough said. There are a lot of easy ways to explain the floating parts not flying away. They just decided to be lazy and not even bother. So, let's get into the Iconian ship, which probably inspired the whole thing. Or at least one of the Iconian ships, in the form of the Vovin-Class. As you can tell, the layout is, well, very much engineering biased. The reason for this is depressingly simple. The Vovin is an engineering carrier. With, well, 5 engineering slots, 3 science, and 3 tactical. As for why I'm reviewing the ship without going into combat, well, most of these ships I've actually flown with since pretty much the beginning. In fact, my main used to have an Obelisk before I decided, you know what, it doesn't have enough firepower. This was also when I started out and wasn't, shall we say, well armed. It's been 10 years, now I'm decent. One universal slot for Lieutenant Commander. 1 Command Engineering. 1 Miracle Worker Engineering. 1 Science. Command Engineering. Miracle Worker. Lieutenant Commander Engineering, and Science Ensign. Something of a waste of potential, if I'm perfectly honest, because the original Obelisk is just as bad in that regard. This could have very easily been a flight deck cruiser. And just to prove the point, here she is, the original Obelisk, which you can now get for fleet modules. See, I have a problem with this boat. This is mostly due to the fact that it, well, doesn't have the firepower to be a cruiser. It's kind of screwed in a lot of ways. It's supposed to be a tank, but it's not. Which brings us to the first thing this thing is known for. The set. This was the first set to include an omnidirectional beam array. In fact, it was the first omni array ever. Which also had a warp core. And finally, there's this thing. The Subspace Fracture Tunneling Field. Teleports in front of a target. Grants temporary hit points per affected foe, and reduces the charge of your universal consoles by 25%. Honestly, I'm a little bit pissed. And you can see why, just from the set. See this last one here? The Reactive Absorption Antiproton Cascade Emitter? That's on the Lobi ship. The T5 Lobi ship, which really should have been retired the millisecond this thing came out. And the improved Reactive Antiproton Cascade Emitter should have been put out. That way, retains the complete set with an extra little passive. Instead, what do? They add to the set. I find this incredibly stupid. However, from Cryptic's point of view, this might actually be necessary because, well, lockboxes generate Lobi, and lockbox keys generate them money, which they need to keep the game going. On the one hand, I'm pissed off by the fact that they just didn't retire this thing's T5 counterpart. On the other hand, I can understand why they didn't. I'm not a happy Gibble, but I am an understanding Gibble. As for the Starship trait, hull heals cause anti-proton AoE damage. So many acronyms. Point is, command officer ability or any hull heal ability, you gain extra anti-proton damage per 10 foes. And per affected foe, you get +1 of your maximum hull capacity every 2 seconds for you and your pets. I'm going to presume this is very good for people who are trying to farm, shall we say, hull healing. Probably not so good for universals, because then you're just cheating everybody of the universal healing thing. Personally, I hate that endeavor, but there are a lot of endeavors that need to be retired anyways. So the question is, what do I think of the ship? Honestly, I think it has some wasted potential, and believe it should have been converted into a flight deck carrier. Same console layout, same everything, but with 2 extra weapon slots, so I can mount on an extra anti-proton uni. Though, to be fair, the upgraded anti-proton omniversal array is currently on another tune. I have plenty of experience with the obelisk, though to be fair, that experience was from about 9 years ago, before Tier 6 became a thing. So, I still like the ship. I still like the fighter pets, which are, by the way, those little swarmers that you can get from the Fleet Spire. But honestly, the Obelisk really needed to be converted into a flight deck carrier. Might have screwed with the synergy a little bit. And the T5 Lobby version should have been retired, but other than that, still a good boat. But what do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Housecoat Gaming, signing off.